Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the program started here. If everyone has found their perfect seat, we're a work in progress with our new projector and screen. And so, like I say, just find out the best seat for you right now, and we hope you'll enjoy the program and enjoy our new screen up here. So I'm Phyllis Bitner. I'm the chair of Minor Saw Museum Foundation. We'd like to welcome you to our special program, which is Moving a Giant Behind the Relocation of the Page 618. So I'd like to welcome Derrick Tilton with Tilton & Sons Housemoving. Derrick is our general contractor for the Page 618 dragline project, and it's been a multi-year partnership, as many of you know. We've been working on this for quite some time, but we're getting there. And today you're going to learn about the challenges that he has faced and how he overcame them to get this dragline project moved to the point where within the next month or two we hope to see it down here on the corner, but I'll let him tell you more about that. JT Knoll is joining us today as a host or moderator, and they're going to be discussing the project together. So I'm just going to turn the program over to Derrick and JT, and thank you both for doing this.
Thanks, Phyllis. How many of you were here when Ted Pryor and David Grothier were here talking about, raise your hand, I see IP, yeah, they were the last to run it and maintain it, so that was quite a gathering we had. And if you'd like to watch that, you can go to Easy Dave's webpage. He did a nice video of it. People have been talking about that. But it was August, wasn't it August we were here? I think it was hot. You know, it had been hot, really hot.
How hot was it?
Oh, let's do that together.
How hot was it?
Well, you remember, it was so hot that the cows were giving condensed milk and the chickens laying boiled eggs. Yeah, it was hot. And then we got this cold weather lately, you know. Today it's not quite as bad, but remember around, you got really cold there for a while, dripping your water all night, you know, doing that.
Just how cold was it?
You guys are getting the cue, yes. One more time.
How cold was it?
Well, we ran out of firewood and we had to chop up our piano. Got 2 chords. Oh, now we're hitting them. See, the groaners is there. Oh, when the doorbell rang, I went there, there was a brass monkey standing there. He wanted to just ask me if I had a welder he could borrow. You know, freeze the nose off a brass monkey. You know. We're going to start with some history. We're going to get back to the Wilkensons. You know, he was born in England, came here at the age of, worked in the mines at the age of 10, and then came here at 20, and then eventually started a mine of his own over in Fleming, and then became Wilkenson Coal Company. We've talked about that quite a bit, but bottom line is they bought the 618 page dragline and brought it to Weir City and used it to mine coal. Excuse me?
Don't forget to move to the...
Oh, we have pictures. Thank you, Phil. There they are. That's William and Mary, the owners of the original, up until 1979. And then we're coming up to John Page, who invented the Page dragline, which was quite a thing. He was in the first graduating class of the University of Illinois Engineering, and he invented it in 1904. Then founded his Page Engineering in 1912. And he also developed a dragline bucket, you know, that came to be used by everyone else, as well as the engine that they used up until the end on his dragline. So he was quite a guy. Here's Tilton. How many people here remember growing up? Do you remember people moving houses? You know, Yeah, it was just like, wasn't it great? You get on your bicycle, look, they're moving a house. Oh. Follow them up the street, you know, they got the power guys raising the lines and they got the police going, you know, kind of thing. It's a really exciting thing, you know, to have Derrick here and tell us a little bit more about what's changed since those days. Some of you are old enough when they just put logs under the house, right? No, okay. That's what they had to do at first. Yeah, put a log under the house, pull it up, put another log in the front. Okay. Derrick, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about your moving company?
Yes. Can you hear me all right? I got my sister in the back, so she's gonna make fun of me probably while we're up here. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I just want to thank you all for coming out today. I especially want to thank Miners Hall Museum for getting us the task to move this wonderful machine here to Franklin. Just a little bit of background on me. I'm a third generation mover. Grandpa started back in the 50s, moving out of Carthage, Missouri. Dad took it over after Grandpa had passed away. And then me and my brothers had started moving house. Somehow, being the youngest, I got tasked with running the company now. I don't know how it passed my older brothers up, but maybe they seen the hard work and stress and was like, no, we'll give that to younger brothers. So anyways, we've had numerous projects in the area. We've moved the Markley shovel for Big Brutus Museum. We've moved the 1023 steam locomotive, the old Kansas City Southern steam locomotive, for the Heritage Train Depot there at Corona. So we've had lots of jobs recently that has historical significance, and anything to do with moving, historical stuff has always just fascinated me more. I love the history of this area. I love the just preserving history. I hate seeing history cut up, demolished, and destroyed. So when it comes to moving something that has historical significance, I just really, really enjoy doing. I really heard about this job back when we were moving the 1023 engine, and I believe that's been 12, 13 years ago is when I first heard of the Page machine. So I didn't really think about it more then, but then years after that, I think it's Phyllis. When did the other man talk to me about this from this music? Well, what was his name?
John Martell.
John Martell. I can't remember what year that was, but then we had looked at it before then too. But this has been years in the making for us to plan this move. I have been going and looking at it, measuring it, engineering equipment to move it with for quite some time. So it's. I know we've been working on it here, 3 years, going on a third year here, and we're finally getting close to moving it. I may be getting ahead of myself with what JT needs to ask, but if you want to go ahead with.
No, we didn't rehearse, so just go with us here. You're doing great. You know, one of the things you mentioned, I was wondering about who moved that steam engine, and you guys moved that steam engine out. Did that give you any background on doing this? Is that the heaviest thing you'd moved before this?
No, we had, I believe the 1023, when it was going down the road with the truck, we were around 400,000 pounds going down the road with it. We had moved a stone church up in Springfield that was around a little heavier than that.
Now, how far did you move a stone church?
We moved it probably about 3 or 4 city blocks in Springfield.
Okay.
It's called Timmons Temple, so if you look on YouTube, you can find the moving videos on that as well.
So, I'm just curious about moving in general. So when you move to stone church, is it different than if you're moving something made out of wood or other material, or do you have to be?
You got to be more delicate with it. You know, each moving project, everything we do, every job is different. It requires different amounts of equipment, different permits, So, but each job kind of progresses. I've realized that and looked back that the previous jobs we have done has led up to this moment here. You know, what I've learned from previous jobs and handling heavy things has got us here to the page. So, I mean, it's just things from the past that has helped us get to this point.
You mentioned permits.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what kind of permits does it take?
Well, we're going to have what's called a superload permit to move the main body of the machine down the highway. We've already moved the boom. We've got a few more components to take off of it. But our lifting machine that we have will be able to tell the weight of the machine plus our equipment to get us ready for the permit process. So in our permit process, once we know it's weighed, we know how many axles we can have underneath of it, because we have to maintain certain weight on how many axles, just like a semi-truck has to follow. And we can't go over really what the semi-truck's allowed on their axles is what we're going to be allowed on, basically, is what it boils down to. So the permit process, I mean, imagine this is going to take 3 or 4 weeks maybe once we get the weight, could be sooner. Depending on the weight, the state may have to do bridge studies to see what bridges will take and how many axles we have to cross certain bridges. Sometimes, depending on that, we have to add extra axles to go over certain bridges to spread the weight out more. So once we get the weight, that'll answer a lot of the permitting questions that still remain to be answered.
That's one of the shoes or feet right there.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that detached and come on its own?
Yes, the shoe itself on the bottom, and then you got a laser. Look at you go. And then what I would call, I don't know the technical detail of it, the arm that goes up and down, that will be disassembled as well.
So those come
off.
apart.
Yes.
This comes off of this.
Yes, the walking feet are already removed.
Okay.
They're away from the site.
And some of you were here last time, but if you don't know how a walking dragline walks, these feet come down on both sides.
Okay.
Then
There's a hydraulic thing that lifts it.
and it goes up and sits down. Then the feet pick up and then go backwards another 3 feet. It goes 3 feet at a time. Then it lifts itself and goes back another 3 feet. Ted Pryor said the best way to imagine it is sit on the floor on your butt, put your hands on the floor and go backward, put your hands on the floor and go backward again, and it walks. So that's how a walking dragline walks. They walk backwards. Oh, you mentioned, the other thing you mentioned, I asked you this later, but I don't know if I got the answer. What is the best thing about doing your job and the least best thing about doing this job? What do you like most about it and what don't you like?
Well, I'd say my favorite part is saving history. And I would say my least favorite part is when I deal with unhappy people waiting in traffic when we're blocking a road with something. So that, or you accidentally touch their mailbox with something, cut their tree limb to get a load by. I mean, but saving history is by far my favorite part of my job. We've done some historical houses. Several years ago in Neosho, we picked up the original George Washington Carver schoolhouse. It's a one-room schoolhouse that was built, I believe, pre-Civil War. And we had picked it up and set it on a new foundation for them. And it's actually being finished up being restored right now. It's been a multi-year progress for them. But I'd say saving history is my favorite part. And then dealing with grumpy people is my least favorite part. So.
You know, that's one of the, everywhere I go, I ask people, what's your favorite part about this job and the least favorite part? And the least favorite part always comes out, it's grumpy people. You know, and I don't care if it's a checker or it's a nurse or it's a guy who, it's grumpy people. So be careful about being grumpy because people don't like you. What we got here? Well, that's one of the cables. Do you know what cable that goes to?
That would be either the lift cable to lift the bucket or to drag the bucket towards the machine.
All right. Next question that comes up is, the benefit over a standard steam shovel? What does a drag line benefit? Anybody know the answer to that? Jerry's going like this, yeah? Yeah, well, it can stand on the top, number one, and it doesn't have to go down into the hole to dig, and it has a longer reach, so you can get more and pick up and set it over. That's why they became the going thing.
It does seem that the drag line has won out as far as what they're using
Yeah.
now in the mining,
Yeah,
in
it went
strip
out
mining
by
now.
far, yeah. This is surveying the project. I guess you guys out there saying, man, this is a big job. What's Anderson Engineering? How do they?
They were hired to drill the test holes to see what the soil conditions were like down in the ground at the site. So we knew how much dirt to excavate out to build the new pad to spec what they had said to spec what the machine weighs to set on. I believe we ended up digging down around 10 to 12 feet deep, removing all that soil and then bringing in large boulders, setting them in there and packing them in and layering stone in lifts to build it to the spec to hold the machine in place while it sits down there. So they were just basically telling us the conditions of the soil and the different types of soil that was down there.
See, that's their drilling, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's taking a core sample, goes down and pulls the core sample out, and they can send it off and study it.
There's a keep erosion from coming around a sock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a netting sock that has straw inside of it. So if there's any dirt runoff, that stops the silt from going into the waterway.
Okay. Now, power washing. Now what is that on the left? Is that the actual boom?
Well, you have the bucket next to that green light tower.
Right there.
Yes, sir. What this was is the machine from sitting out there for so long and being used, it was coated in grease, oil, diesel fuel, dirt, clay, just everything. So we had a man come and he pressure washed it. We worked it through the night, pressure washing this thing. I hauled water out there with a large water truck so we could get everything cleaned and degreased. That's what the light tower was for. We were working at night, and then that light tower is probably around, the green part is about 5-6 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. So that kind of gives you an example how big that bucket is next to it. And then that's a 16-foot trailer behind that pickup. So in reference, sitting next to that bucket, you can kind of see the size of it.
Sir, did you have the EPA on your back?
No, we didn't. We did scoop up all the residue stuff and then hauled it off to a proper site. So
More power washing.
There must be a lot of rust on it. Is there enough rust to affect its integrity anyplace?
there is some surface rust on sheet metal areas, but the main body of the machine has such large structural steel that it's made out of that none of that has been compromised at all.
Still washing.
Still washing, yep.
What we got here?
These are the steel beams we ordered in. I found them out in somewhere out in Illinois. I can't think of the town offhand. But these were the beams that we hauled in, and there'll be more pictures later. This is the raw steel version of the main beams that we've built and engineered to haul the machine on. You'll see some more pictures of them later, and I
How
can
much do
explain
those
more.
beams weigh, do you know?
Ooh, I know the completed weight when they were done. I don't know them being single offhand. I know we had to find a specialized height beam because where we had to fit it to the machine, I only had 18 inches to work with. So I basically had to find a heavy 18-inch beam and then multiply stuff with that to fit through the certain areas to grab the machine where we need to get a hold of it.
There's unloading.
Mm-hmm.
There's a drone shot by Jason Anselmi. You mentioned, talk a little bit about, I liked you talking about why you like the picture, the initial picture and this picture in its habitat.
I mean, it just shows it in its element. You see where it dug, you see where it spent its last time working, and you just see the water that, you know, it just seems like it fits there in those pits. It's going to look beautiful down here on the corner, but this is its habitat. That's where its bread and butter was.
And
So
there's a nice shadow.
To me, it looks, you know, it looks beautiful there, but I think when it gets down here on the corner, it's going to look a lot prettier.
Had they continued mining, which way would they walk?
You know, I don't know. I haven't asked that question. I'm not sure on that. So
It'd have to be that way to start with. It'd have to be towards that shadow.
Yeah.
Here we're back to Dragline Park.
there's the starting the first digging going down to start bringing in rock to build the pad site up.
There's all.
This is the parking lot area.
And there's the intersection of Gennardi's Corner where it's gonna be. Chat Rocks.
That's base rock there.
We call them Chat Rocks.
Chat Rocks here.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm from Missouri. I'm
You know
not
what I'm saying?
Kansas. So
I like you
don't
so
hold
much.
that against me.
I love you so much, honey, I'll throw Chat Rocks anybody else comes around. There's the parking lot. Steel.
Yep, those are our those are our heavy 8-inch cross beams. They weigh 76 pounds a foot by themselves, and they are doubled up next to each other under the machine. And I believe there's going to be 8 of those that hold crossways under the machine to hold it up going down the road. So they're going to have a tremendous amount of weight on them. That's why we had to get them so thick. You look in the picture, they're a little over an inch thick on the steel on them, and then they're doubled up next to each other. So they're extremely heavy. So
Have you had to cut these?
yes, we have had to cut
And
those.
how do you cut them?
We have a plasma cutter and a torch that can cut that thick of metal.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
What will you do with them when you're finished?
Well, a lot of them we use for other jobs that will be in the future. We've invested a lot of our own money to build this equipment to move the machine. So they'll just be used on other moving projects down the road. Or possibly, I've talked to Phyllis about selling some of the extra equipment to put back into the restoration fund of the machine.
By the way, we had a big dig behind my house in Pittsburgh where we had a sinkhole. That you didn't come over and work on that, did you?
No,
Okay, because we had, what they did was they had, I'm sure you've done some of this kind of thing, where you've moved houses off of the, a hole or build a basement underneath them.
Yes.
And then move the house back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
On steel beams. That's what reminded me of that.
Yep.
There you're doing some cutting there,
That's my son. He's doing some welding. These are the beams that were on the semi truck we showed earlier. Part of the fabrication process and the height requirements we have to get the drag line down the road and to get it loaded, those heavy cross beams I talked about fit in these things we call windows. We cut windows through the beam and then reinforced it with other plate steel so those beams can go through each other, make an intersection to keep everything down low so we stay out of power lines and keep the machine as low as possible. You'll see in other pictures that there's multiple windows to where we can set beams across to multiple areas to support the drag line as it's being moved. When each beam is around 24 feet long, and we built 6 of them, and they bolt together on the ends for a total, and there's some other beams we add to it, but they can, if the axle requirements we need to go longer, I can extend out to 84 feet long to hold the drag line. The drag line itself is only around 44 feet long. So I have to lengthen everything out to meet bridge requirements and axle requirements. But these beams, once they were cut, fabricated, put together, and ready for welding, we had around 40 hours of welding per beam to weld it all together. That was just welding. That's no cutting, no fabbing, none of the window plates being cut out. It was just 40 hours just per one beam. And a lot of this was done in the evenings. We would come home at night from working on other jobs, and we would be out in the shop at night, working through the night to build for this project. So it's been a lot of late nights and a lot of long weeks to get to where we are today. That's my brother. He's my right-hand man on the job. As you can see here, we've got plate steel where the other beams will bolt up together. This picture doesn't show it, but there's more holes here that we bolt the plate on top and bottom. And I believe each intersection where the beams bolt, there's 45.5-inch bolts in each connection to bolt it together. So there's a lot, and they're a special structural bolt for this. It's not a regular grade 8 bolt that you would use in heavy applications. It's a specialized fastener for this type of project.
Same thing.
Yep. There's more of the windows. You can see where those 8-inch beams will fit in together. And we had to be careful on our placement of how many windows we could put in each beam, because it still has to be structurally sound. So those windows are made to the tightest specification to fit those two beams in. When those two beams fit in, they have a 1/16 of an inch on either side of that window to fit. So it's been a lot of close fabrication. There's not much room for error. So it's just been more of the thought and the process of going in and doing this. A lot of people I talk to on moving things, they think when we show up to move a house or a building, they think it's just as simple as picking up a couch and throwing it in a truck. But I wish it was that easy. But projects like this, with everything we've engineered and built, there's so many tolerances we keep close to keep that structural integrity to make sure that the machine makes it here safely.
Now, did you learn all this on the job, or did you go to training to do it? How did you come about all this knowledge?
Well, a lot of it came from my dad, which watched from his dad. I did go to some welding and machining schools. My son that was welding, he had been to a fabrication school as well. We did welding in FFA and VOTEC. And
where'd you go to school?
There in Carthage.
Okay.
We've actually had our welding teacher come to our house where we were building these. He's a retired Air Force man. And he was just so amazed and thrilled to see the beams we're building for this project. He was just tickled death to come to see it. And, you know, I had to give him some credit too, because he had taught us things to get to this part. But a lot of it's just been building our own equipment over the years, watching Dad. And I never got to meet my grandfather. He passed away before I was born. But a lot of it was just my dad watching him build things. So it's just been a generation, handed down a generation process on doing what we're doing.
By the way, what was your grandfather's name?
Farrell Tilton was
Pick me, I know.
Callie.
William Farrell.
William Farrell. I've always heard him as Farrell.
We just
but
called him Farrell. And
Yeah.
what was your father's name?
His name's Orrin.
Okay.
Yep.
So when Farrell and Orrin.
Mm-hmm. And also,
And your teacher's name, who taught you?
his name was John Dillard.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He's a very interesting guy.
Let's give them all credit, because they got you here.
Yeah, I want him to be here the day we move it, because he has seen this, and he's actually stopped by some of our other big projects and seen, and he loves seeing that type of thing. And also even this axle you see in this picture, we had to build it special to move the beams around on because of its width. It doesn't fit any of our other axles. So everything we've done for this to move it around, everything has had to be custom built and made for this project.
I was interested in some of the buildings you've moved.
Uh-huh.
before you, some of the ones your dad built. I know he told me he had moved 15 of the buildings that are out at Red Oak too.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
And do you know of any of the buildings that your grandfather moved?
I know of some houses he's moved in Carthage. Some of those have been sadly torn down. I know there's some houses in Carthage that I'll drive by and Dad will point out, say, hey, Grandpa moved this house. There's still a handful of stuff that Grandpa's moved that's still around. Mm-hmm. The house that my mom and Dad live in, Grandpa and Dad moved that house there, and they're still living in it today. We still have some of Grandpa's equipment. There's a set of axles we use from time to time that are Grandpa's. There's a big set of beams that was his biggest set of beams that he ever had made and built to move houses on. I used them a couple years ago to move a big house up at High Point, Missouri. If anybody follows our Facebook page, they can look up that house. And it's actually on YouTube being moved as well. You can find it on there. But it's really cool to be able to use my grandfather's and Dad's equipment to still move stuff today. Some of the stuff's been phased out, like the old trucks and stuff, but and the lifting machine involved to lift things now. But the steel that Grandpa and Dad have, built over the years, we still use on a lot of our jobs.
How big of a scrap iron pile do you have?
Well, it grows every year because my dad won't get rid of anything, but it's got a variety of stuff there. So
He's got a wise dad.
yeah, this is more of the fitting together of the beams. This is where we were drilling the top plate and bottom plate, fitting it to the two beams coming together. Yeah, there's the drill there. It's got a magnetic base to it. And that's got a special drill bit in it. It's called an annular bit. It doesn't drill like a traditional bit. It just takes a kind of a core sample out of it. And I was highly skeptical when I bought this drill because I didn't know how well it was going to work. But that drill there will punch through an 1.5-inch plate, drilling an 1.5-inch hole in about 45 seconds. Whoa. It'll flat cut through some steel, and it's a very nice tool to have. But as many holes as we had to drill, I had to have something that was quick to be able to do it. But what's amazing is that drill has drilled, that bit has drilled around 300 and some holes, 400 holes, and it's still just as sharp as it was when we first got it. So it's a very high dollar.
What's the edge? What kind of edge? What makes it that sharp?
They're carbide, so it's a very expensive. It's a machining tool, basically. But that was the only thing to have for the job to make the plate fast to go through it and drill all the holes.
And it has an end cutter as well as side cutting?
Yes, There's more of the plate fitting and final welding of. The plates are so heavy we put lifting tabs in them to where we can handle the plate to get it to fit on top there to line everything up.
Well, let's go back. I just said danger. What kind of danger does this put up for you guys, both fabricating and moving?
Well,
what kind of safety precautions do you have?
You wear your gloves, safety glasses. We have a specialized cutting oil we mix up, so there's, some hazards there, stuff getting in your eye. So you always got to wear your glasses.
Steel-toed boots.
Steel-toed boots, but with a plate like that, a steel-toed boot's not going to do you much good. So that and some of the beams we handle are just so heavy it won't do any good.
How about moving up the road? What kind of safety precautions do you have when you're on the highway?
Well, you have your normal motorist seems like more and more they're not paying attention. They're on the cell phones, don't want to get out of the way. The biggest thing is power lines, making sure you don't touch a power line and cause an electrocution.
So you have all that worked out ahead of time with the power companies?
Power companies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, in communicating between the various personnel when you're doing this lifting, have you settled on accepted terms?
Accepted terms.
In other words, what does this mean? What does this mean?
Yes.
What does the spoken word mean?
Yeah, we all have signals to
Yeah,
when we're
hand
lifting up
signals
and down,
too,
and
yeah.
and hand signals when we're using our cranes, things of that nature. So
Important, yeah.
yeah, it's important to have. So
And how are you communicating during the move?
we have walkie-talkies and headsets that we can talk to our individual guys. I think for this particular move, I've thought about implementing a camera system that lets me, because I'm the driver of the truck that's going to be pulling it. I can have a monitor in the cab and have various cameras and different points that I can see
Well, that would
that,
be
and I can see
marvelous.
my guys, because some of our axles have to be steered while guys are under the load. They have to run winches to steer the axles. So I have to move really, really slow, and while guys are telling me, hey, pull up, turn left or right, and they're turning the trailer the opposite direction. So it's communication. That's a very good question. Communication is very huge on our job sites, and knowing where everybody's at and what's going on. So
Are you going to use a wireless system or a wired system in terms of the cameras?
they're wireless systems.
Because sometimes you get interference and you lose your picture. With
Yes.
a wired system, you don't, although
Yeah.
it has other problems.
Yep.
So I have a question about the actual move. You know, sometimes the roads are crowned
Uh-huh.
and maybe a curve has a banking on it.
Mhm.
Is there any concern about that, about the tilt as you go down the road?
That's a very good question. All of our axles have 16 inches of hydraulic travel.
Wow.
And when we hook up multiple axles together, it kind of makes what I would call an accumulator system. So let's say we have a curb coming up. Well, that axle starts up on the curb. It sends pressure back to the other axles, which raise their cylinders automatically, lets that cylinder suck up in itself to go up over the obstacle. Well, when it drops off the other side, its cylinder extends down and the other ones go lower when they come up to the curb.
Oh.
So when we are in a curve, because that's a really good question, when we're in a curve, we can hydraulically lean the load back level and not worry about it sliding off.
And it talks to itself?
Yeah, it kind of talks to itself. It's
Oh,
all
that's
just a
neat.
pressure of hydraulics, and depending how we hook the system up.
Now, how did your grandpa have to do that?
He didn't have that option, sadly.
I mean, did he
I
have-
wish-
what I'm saying
I
is,
wish
did
he would've.
Did they have to put ties or something up there?
Yes,
that
they
had to
would've.
level it?
Yes, they would have had to put ties and level it. But Grandpa, he moved heavy things and he got away with not having to worry about weight limits. There was a story I've heard many years ago, moving a heavy house in Nevada, and they had freshly paved a road, and he was leaving ruts in the asphalt, and they shut him down, and so he left the house in the middle of the road. From what I'm told, he left the house in the middle of the road, and they finally told him to come back and get it. He went and got it. But he didn't have to have multiple axles like we have to. We've had to adapt. I mean, my dad never did really use multiple axles until we started getting these hydraulic axles to get them to where they talk to each other, in a sense. Because there's been several loads I've had to move that have required 10 to 12 different sets of axles, like that stone church. I rented a system that was all fully remote control, hydraulically driven. It had a 150 horse John Deere engine running a hydraulic power pack. And all I did was I held a remote control box and I drove that entire church down the road all with remote control. I could lean the building, I could steer the building, and then I could also, had brakes on it as well too. I had an air compressor running brakes.
Good idea.
So I could do all the functions of keeping that church level while it was being moved. So, but that is a good question. I appreciate that, because a lot of people ask. Sometimes with houses, we have to go up over a bridge, and you lean them to fit inside of bridges. You can lean the house over, and get your house on one side of the bridge and put the house on the inside of the bridge to fit between the railings. My dad, we have funny terms in moving things, but he calls that trick one wing low, like an airplane, you got one wing low, so we have funny terms for stuff like that. But and sometimes we miss mailboxes like that. We can hydraulically lean it, go up over a mailbox or an obstacle back down, or a tall house that's up into tree limbs or traffic lights or the lights on the side of the road. You have to lean the roof away from them to get by them, and you can lean it back and forth. So
Now this is a Derrick on the right, lowering the boom.
that's a hydraulic crane that we had come
Wait a minute,
in.
I want to call it a Derrick, because you're Derrick.
Yeah,
And you got a great name for this job.
I know, right? And so the yellow crane is Ozark Crane. That's a contractor we hired to come in to help us get the boom to the ground. And then our crane is the white one in the background, and it handled, what I would call the jib or luffer jib. That's the second boom to the drag line. I may not be using the correct term for that, but that's kind of some of the stuff I've learned. It's called the luffer jib, but it's there in the back. There in that second picture, you can see it up in the air. We had to lower those at the same time. When this machine was running, when it picked its boom up and down, both of those moved simultaneously at the same time. So when we went to rig it, we had to release certain cables at certain times to let everything move, to let it down, and then we could unpin the boom and move it away from it.
There it's on the ground, and there's the jib on the top.
Yep, that is the jib on the front. And if you notice, it says the word page on that second little boom.
It spells it out right there.
Yeah, it spells it out. You'll see.
Right there.
Yep, you'll see page right there.
What do we see down on the corner now when we drive by?
That is the main boom. That's the big main boom that's down there.
Oh, this is the Ted and Jay unloading the piston that was in the engine that ran the. That shows you just how big the engine was if you see the size of that piston. And it's still over here, isn't it?
It's in the back corner.
You can look over it in the corner.
And I still don't understand how a piston works with a hole in the top of it. And it's a different kind of combustion engine that I don't understand.
Was that? Oh, I don't.
You can look at the piston over here, right over here, and there's a big hole in the top of it.
I'm not going to try that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't know how that works, but it worked. But.
This is the smaller boom that goes with it. My crane actually weighed that, and it weighs around 7,000 pounds for that little boom. We believe the big one weighs around 35,000 pounds on the big boom. And then there's some of the cable my guys are rolling up to tie together to bring it here.
When they erected the shovel, did they put the booms together piece by piece?
Yeah, it came in on a train to Weir City, yeah. We were talking about that earlier. We don't have a lot of information, but it had to be brought in pieces and erected similarly to the way we're taking it apart, I guess, same way. Because those shoes probably and everything probably the whole cab came on its own though, I would guess. But we don't know for sure because we don't have that information. That's pretty much looking at what do we got going here?
That's more of the fabrication of the steel.
More fabrication.
That's the beams being shipped to site once they were fabricated.
And there's our shoe.
Yep.
Our walk arrow over there again.
When you weld, is it acetylene or is it arc welding?
It's MIG welding with a thin wire on a spool with a argon gas. Argon, and I believe it's 75% argon, and I can't quite remember the 25% of the other gas that's used with it. It's a shielding gas.
So it is arc though?
Yeah, it is arc welding. Yes, sir.
What do you do when it's windy?
Huh? We had been welding in our shop. We had been welding in our shop at home. They were just short enough to fit in the door and shut the door at that point. So we don't have a very big shop at home, but they worked out to fit inside.
I thought maybe you might use that flux core.
No, we didn't use any flux core on it.
What diameter is that wire, that welding wire?
I think it's point 0.25 is what I believe it is.
Inch?
Uh-huh.
Big wire.
Yeah, sure is, quarter of an inch.
You know, don't you, Cal?
That's what we welded.
There is sitting another drone footage.
There's one of the main beams fitted up underneath of it, under the house there to get ready for the steel to go around it. There's, if you'll point right here, you can start to see the cross beams going across under the house to the other steel beam on the other side. There it is, more of the beams underneath of it and going across it.
And did you say what the weight is now on the?
We, our next step when we come back over here, beginning of March, when we start, our goal is to pick the machine up like it is now with the A-frame on top and the tub underneath of it. We're going to pick it up and move it forward about 200 feet to get it off of the peninsula that it's on so we can get more room to work around it. Then we're going to start some more disassembly process. We're going to remove the tub out from under it, and then we're going to remove the A-frame and cab off the top of it and the what I would call the support legs that run the feet. We're going to remove all that off of it, and then my lifting machine that runs on hydraulics can weigh it. And then we have weights on our trucks, our axles, and I can add all that weight up and get a total weight of what our road weight is going to be going down the road. I know early in the owner's manual I received from Phyllis, I believe the operating weight of the drag line is just under 500,000 pounds. That was it full of fuel, the engine, the bucket, the boom, counterweights, everything was around just under 500,000 pounds.
And here you're headed out, coming across country with the boom.
The boom, yes. The main boom. There it is.
Did you have to do anything to that gravel road, or was it?
Wendell had it widened. It was a very narrow road. They went in and widened it to accessible for our equipment.
Did they have to add any gravel?
No,
Here we come into Gennardi's corner. Oh. Ta-da!
This is political, sort of. When you're dealing with the state, or those people who are issuing the permits, are you dealing with people who know this? Who know the problems that you face?
I'll just say they know of it. I don't think they know every aspect of it, but they sort of know some of it.
You have to bring them along.
Yeah, basically, yes.
When you have to disassemble parts like the A-frame, the leg, and the cab, are you simply cutting it off, or are you trying to disassemble it by unbolting it?
We're doing everything we can to unbolt it how it was built. There was a slide several slides ago that showed some pins on a beam with a glove. Those are the pins that held the boom on. We're basically saving as much everything as we can. So far, everything we've taken apart has just been unbolting. There's been oiling and heating up of things, but everything has been coming apart, and I'm going to knock on some wood here, but everything's been coming apart very well, especially for the age of the machine and how long it's been sitting
I
here.
presume you don't have a shop drawings for that machine.
Have what?
The shop drawings?
Shop.
Owner's manual.
Oh, we have a manual. Phyllis sent me some of the manual on it. It's not a deep, in-depth, shows machining sizes of pins or anything like that, but we do have a little bit of literature on it.
That's where the shop drawings would come.
Yes, yeah, I wish we had the shop drawings on it, but we don't have that.
How much WD-40 do you use?
Well, we haven't been using any WD-40. I use a chemical called Crawl. It's in an orange can. We use it quite a bit over there on things. It's worked really well.
How difficult is it, or who does it, to take pictures and then keep track of all the parts that you removed so you know where they go?
Well, that's part of my job too. I take pretty well all the photos on site. Majority of the photos that's been on this slide I take myself, and then I save them on my phone, and then I can't even tell you how many pictures is on my phone of all the jobs we've done, but I have an album on my phone, just dragline stuff, and a lot of it just shows steps of stuff we took off so we know how to put it all back together. So,
Could you repeat one thing, what's the heaviest thing you have to move in this whole thing? And how heavy is that?
the main part of the body, which is I would refer to as the house, that's going to be the cab, the engine compartment, the main winches, mainly the body of the machine. I want to say, and I'm just guessing from what we've removed off of it, I would say that body is going to weigh around 300,000 pounds is what that's going to be. A typical semi-truck is 80,000 pounds. That's what they're allowed to be at. So we're going to be about that with that body, but you know, I don't know exactly what it's going to be because we're just kind of guessing from what the operating weight was. But when I set my hydraulic machine up to lift it, I'll know exactly what it weighs.
For how long do you trust tires?
Tires. I'm actually very adamant on having new tires on all of our equipment. We have very special heavy ply tires. They normally have to be ordered in. No one usually has them, and that's how it goes with all of our stuff. Seems like anything extra heavy we have has to be ordered in. Like this truck, for instance, it was built in Canada. It's a special heavy haul truck, and it has a range of 36 gears in it. So it was built for heavy haul. I happened to luckily come across it for sale from a local guy, but it's built for heavy haul stuff. So just everything we have to do what we do, you have to have heavy duty things to do it.
Well, thank you for the questions and for coming. I'm going to turn this over to Phyllis before we finish. But I do want to say how much I appreciate, and I'm sure you do, who got this job. When we got somebody that says, I hate to see old important buildings or structures torn down or thrown away or, you know, unused. We got the right man, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. You know, I really appreciate Miners Hall for this. I know we've been in it for several years. You know, coming up, you can see some of the slides. Things started back in 21. Phyllis has been great to work with. The museum here has been great to work with. We've had so many kind of like memories together because when I started this project, I wasn't even married. And I ended up getting married. I had a son. I've kind of gone through everything with Phyllis here. You know, but this project here is really near and dear to my heart. I know I'm not from this area, but I can remember as a kid, little bitty, going over and seeing Big Brutus and just how massive that machine is. And when we moved the Markley shovel for them, I don't know how many of you have been out there to see the Markley shovel. That was an honor to move it with the history behind it. And, you know, just the sheer determination of the old timers that came before us, the things they built and engineered, like the Markley. The thing was built in the guy's backyard. I mean, it was just, if you haven't seen the Markley shovel at Big Brutus, please go see it, because if you appreciate old things being made, that Markley shovel is just outstanding to have there. And it's funny because when we moved the 1023, I thought to myself when I was driving it down the road, I thought, you know what? There's probably not anything else here in this area to be saved. I mean, this is probably the last thing. And then little did I know later on, we'd have to move the Markley. And then a little later on, I'd be able to move the Page. And, you know, it's just something, being in this industry, you just never know what that next call is going to be, you know, to come in to move something. But I've got big shoes to fill for my dad and my grandfather, and I really appreciate being able to move this for this community and this museum. It's just, you know, when I got the boom there, I was like, man, this is a big milestone. And to see it there, and I've told Phyllis this several times, I said, when the Page gets down there, you're going to realize how small that intersection is and how small that corner is, because it's going to swallow the real estate up. I know it doesn't look it now, but each time I go through the gate out there at Wendell's and look across the water and see that machine, just the size of it, it doesn't do it justice to see these pictures. You know, when you get up next to it and you see how it's built and you see all the heavy components in it, and then you put that object moving down the road, it's really going to be something to see going down the road. The boom went really, really well. We got here in record time for what we thought it would. But I can promise you the dragline is going to be another story. It's going to go a whole lot slower getting here. I have made some plans for it to take 2 days to get it here. I don't know yet if they're going to make us travel at night or not. Sometimes, depending on the size of a load, we have to move things at night. So it's possible it could be a nighttime move, could be a daytime move. I don't know yet. But it'll be a several hour-long process getting the Page here, because the axles we use, the way they all turn, as many corners we have to make, it may take an hour or so just to make one turn, to get all the wheels lined up to make all the turns. So it's just, it's been a big monumental project, but I've studied and looked and built and conferred with Dad, and I've got a handful of drawings up here and a notepad of stuff that we've worked on for this, that you all can look at afterwards if you'd like. But I really do appreciate being able to move this for you all.
When you say nighttime move, do you mean they allow you only to move it at nighttime?
Yes, sir. Only nighttime. It may be, they may let us start, and this is, Kansas usually doesn't have us move at night, but it just depends on the size of the load. But Missouri, a lot of times our moves in Missouri, we start at 1 a.m. on moving things. So that's a possibility on this as well too, but we'll just wait and see what they say when we get the final weights.
One last question from me. With a load this big, job this big, how many people try to tell you how to do it?
Well, really only one, and that's my dad.
That's the guy that cares.
Yeah, we're kind of different though in that aspect, because I have my newer technologies I use to move things, kind of like my lifting machine. He thinks that thing is weird and crazy, and I need to go back to his way of moving things. But that's kind of our difference of how he does things and how he did things and how I do things. That's just technology difference. You know, it's kind of like in farming. You know, the older farmer, he wouldn't want a tractor with a computer on it. The newer farmers want computers on tractors. You know, it's just kind of the same application here. But Dad has a great wealth of knowledge, and I utterly respect the man. We do have our differences sometimes, as most father and sons would, but I do listen to him on a lot of the things and take his opinion, because he's been there. You know, he's
Most important thing is when he says, you might have trouble there. Yeah.
Yep, he does. And but He hasn't been over to the drag line lately, but I need to get him back over there and have him look at things and study it. But he's been a great source of information on this. Yes, sir.
Do you have a projected budget for the electric company?
A lot of that's being donated, but a lot of it now is we're removing so much stuff off the top of it. And when I talked about the height of my beams being so high, that's to get us lower to avoid those obstacles, so we don't have to worry about those objects in the way. Anybody else have anything?
Well, we would like to thank JT first for helping moderate this for us. We appreciate that. And Derrick, you have been wonderful to work with, and I feel like we're family now. When he and his new wife had this baby, I felt like I'm a Grammy again. And today he brought his beautiful young teenage daughter, and I'm like, well, she can call me Grammy. I mean, we're all family now, so we've been at this so long. So really, we appreciate all you've done and all the thought you've put into everything. And when you asked that question about how many people know how to do things, well, everybody online, well, why didn't you do this and how come this and all of that. And you know, that they're those Monday morning quarterbacks that don't really know all involved in some of the pictures that we went through that maybe didn't get pointed out, but one of them showed all the water in the tracks there. Well, of course that meant mud. Well, you can't do anything with heavy equipment in the mud. In the middle of this, one of his vehicles, his main vehicle was involved. He was T-boned, lost his vehicle, which is what resulted in, I believe, in this new one, right?
Not this one, but the crane that's in the pictures.
So there were a lot of challenges along the way that, like I say, you think, oh, you could have done this, but unless you're actually doing the job, you know, you really just don't know. But we appreciate everything that Derrick and his whole crew there, they've all been wonderful to work with. And we know we're going to be getting this moved soon. We're not commenting on any dates yet, but we're getting close. You'll be hearing about that. It'll be in the media. It's on our Facebook page. If you follow us on Facebook, that's where all the latest. The minute something happens, we try to get that out on our social media. So follow us, and that's the best way to stay up with that. So we appreciate you coming today and telling them all about the challenges you've met along the way and the process and seeing the photos. So that's been all good. So I just have a couple of quick announcements. We have another program next month. We have a monthly program to go along with this, and it's going to be fun. JT has agreed to host it, and it is called, it's the Spirit. Okay, we're celebrating the U.S. 250th and Pittsburgh's 150th, so we're trying to bring that into all of our exhibits and programs this year. So the program next month is called the Spirit of 76 Showdown, Founding Facts and Coal Camp Acts, and it's going to be a game show. It's going to be audience participation. It's not, I mean, it's going to be fun. We don't want anybody to not come and think, oh gosh, I don't want to embarrass myself. It's going to be out here in the audience, and we'll JT will be asking you questions that'll be related to the U.S. 250th, Pittsburgh 150th, coal camps, immigration. It might be we don't even know. JT's putting all that together, and so you'll be able to test your patriotic pride and your knowledge of local history. And if you don't have to participate. You can come and just enjoy the program. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and that will be on March the 15th. But that'll also be in the media and on our Facebook page. We've got an amazing lineup of QEs for this year. Same way, all tied to either the dragline, US 250th, and Pittsburgh is actually hosting the third quarter, which will relate to the Pittsburgh 150th celebration. So you follow along about those. Couple of introductions. I'd like to introduce our newest member of our Board of Trustees, which is Joshua McLeod. We are so grateful to have him serving on our board, and he's already taken on a lot of jobs for us and things that are have to do with all of our online presence and virtual and just everything. So we want you to stop and say hi to Joshua. We're just thrilled to have him join our board. Thank you. We do have an amazing board. We're all volunteers, and we're all deeply invested in saving this history of Southeast Kansas. So there's a couple of our board members are here today. Linda Roberts is standing right back there. Linda Knoll is somewhere back in there. Okay, and Emma Louise, we'd like to thank you for serving today as a greeter. And Midge Barley is here. She's been helping serve as a hostess for you today. So, it takes a lot of people to put on an event, just something like this. It just takes a lot of volunteers and people. If you aren't a member, we encourage you to join. That's the easiest way to find out and keep up with all the news. You get a newsletter, you get phone calls or emails about any events, which brings up our event that's coming up in March. It's our big spring fundraiser, and many of you know we usually have a night in New Orleans out here on the grounds. It's a shrimp boil, and this year we've decided to head east. In keeping with celebrating the US 250th, we are going to have a night in Philadelphia. We'll have a swing band, local swing band. It's going to be great. Food will be catered and served by Blue Spoon. It's going to be a full meal. It's going to be great. The DAR and SAR are going to participate. They'll be in Revolutionary Era costumes, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be held at Memorial Auditorium this year, so it'll be nice. It'll be an indoor event. Tickets are $40 per person for the whole night, for the food, entertainment, and everything. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. And it is always a sold-out event, so if you're interested in coming, I recommend that you call the office or stop by to get your tickets. And don't buy them online from anybody, because it's a scam. You have to, really, and you won't have a physical ticket there. It's literally a reservation. You'll give your name. If you have other friends you want to sit with, if you just tell Susan in the office, we'll be sure you are seated at a table together as much as we can accommodate that. That's our goal. So we thank you all for coming. We have refreshments and snacks in the back. You're welcome to stay and visit with JT and Derrick and view our exhibits out here. And someone mentioned about drawings and things. There are so many books back there. That corner is our special corner of the exhibit about the drag line. And we have made contact with some of the great-granddaughters of Mr. Page, and they keep sending us more things. And there are 3-ring binders back there that might have exactly what you're looking for. They've sent us original books, and of those we've tried to make copies so that the public can look through them. There's all kinds of drawings and weight measurements and all kinds of things. So you're welcome to sit. There's a table where you can sit down. You're welcome to look through those anytime, and we're open 6 days a week, so you can come in any day and go and look through any of that stuff in there. So thank you all again for coming. We appreciate it, and please help yourself to the snacks and beverages back here. And we hope to see you next month.
Oh, this is the whole thing. Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Just like this root,